We ready? Okay, begin. We've just arrived in the Walker Art Centre's Maguire Theatre, and we're here for a week doing a residency.
The Walker Art Centre commissioned BodyCartography Project's next project, Supernature. We decided to work with BodyCartography as part of our season because this project was bigger than some of the projects that they had done in the past, and we knew that our resources could really benefit this project. With the seed money we provided, they were able to not only start rehearsing the piece, which we were able to do here at the Walker,
Come on in.
but also we had several residencies in the visual arts galleries, building research to develop empathy between an audience member and a dancer.
As a performer in it, it was very interesting to feel the diversity of people's response to what's happening in the room. Because we're not working with a totally set series of movements, we're really open to be influenced by the way that that person is responding, and you can really see that response is an action that goes into the space between the performer and the audience, and it becomes a big part of what is made.
And how did that feel for you to have that level of intensity, that he was kind of with you, on you?
Yeah, it was really stirring. You know, I felt like
Olive, at the end of every session in the galleries, would interview both the dancers and the audience members that participated. I think the gallery performances informed the production on stage by really tapping into what is effectively communicated between a performer and an audience member, and really honing in that communication so that it isn't left up to chance, that it really is something that has been developed into a language.
With the Supernature piece, the installation part, which is a one-on-one experience, is kind of part one, and then the stage work is like part two.
BodyCartography Project describes Supernature as a human melodrama that you would see on the National Geographic's channel. That you have this insight into human behavior that is in a very natural setting. Even though it's going to be on stage and hyper-real, it's also going to have this very electric quality. It'll pull together these elements that we don't really do anymore. We don't really have opportunities to express ourselves so clearly through our bodies, and this production will have tapped into that more universal and primal feelings that we all carry inside of ourselves.
The BodyCartography Project is not a dance company. To call it a company seemed too static, and so we call it a project because it's an ongoing investigation into physicality and how it interacts with your environment.
One of the things that really kind of informs why we make is kinesthesia. Kinesthesia is a sense, it's one of our primary senses, our sense of movement. So much of our work is exploring this relationship between the primariness of kinesthesia and the sophistication of seeing, and how can we create experiences for our audiences that really kind of take them to both ends.
And in a sense, this investigation of the relationship between the viewer or the audience and us as performers or makers has a lot to do with empathy, and looking at empathy as a social phenomenon, but also as an animal experience that isn't necessarily considered as you're watching it. The feeling of being moved by something is not just about thinking. It's really a messy and
synergistic process.
What I really appreciate about BodyCartography Project and their work, they source the material through the body, so it has both this personal depth in the movements that is coming from each one of the dancers. It also feels very universal, really unique, and at the same time very relatable.
What I like with art is when I feel like I'm on the edge of understanding, working to identify what's happening and what is it doing to me. When I feel that experience in making or watching other people make, then I feel very engaged, and I want that experience to translate.
I don't hold a specific mission for my audience members. I don't want to predict or limit what their experience is of my work, but I would love them to seek meaning for themselves, whether it's awkwardness or joy or desire, or they create some kind of narrative that generates meaning for them in the watching of it. I'm very much interested in people having a physical, kinesthetic or empathetic response to the work. And that might be revulsion, you know, but that they are able to make the link that they're having that experience, and that experience includes their body.
Minnesota Original is made possible by the State Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.